Welcome. I am Leah Fleming, host of Morning Edition on Georgia Public Broadcasting, and you are watching the Atlanta Press Club Loudermilk Young debate series. This is the runoff debate for Democratic candidates in Congressional District 9. In order to ensure everyone's health and safety during this pandemic, the candidates and the panelists are all joining us from their homes. The Atlanta Press Club gives a special thank you to Georgia Public Broadcasting for helping to organize these video debates. Let's meet our candidates. They are, in alphabetical order, Devin Pandy. Devin was a logistics specialist in the Army. He later became an actor, appearing in local theater and television. Brooke Siskin. Brooke worked with the advocacy group Go Gwinnett and is a former sales representative with Comcast. We are joined by our panelists who will question the candidates. They are Tia Mitchell, who is the Washington correspondent with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, and Lee Shearer. Lee is a reporter with the Athens Banner Herald. Now let's get started. Candidates will have 60 seconds to answer their questions and 30 seconds to respond to rebuttals. I will hold up a piece of paper letting the candidates know when they have 10 seconds remaining. For the full set of rules, please visit the Atlanta Press Club website, atlantapressclub.org. To start the debate, each panelist will ask a question to each candidate. Tia Mitchell, you get the first question, and it's to Brooke Siskin.
Good morning, Brooke. I want to ask you, as you know, we're here doing this virtually because of the ongoing effects of the coronavirus pandemic. What are your thoughts about, if you were a member of Congress, what would you be urging you and your colleagues to do to address the impact of the pandemic?
Well, one, I would address the mask issue. I think we are not wearing enough masks in this country, and that's causing further spread of the virus. And then a mandate as to having masks on and going by the rules, that the standards that they're setting, that the CDC and the World Health Organization is setting forth. So I would definitely, go by those rules and try to mandate that as well.
All right, Lee Shearer, please ask a question to Devin Pandy.
Mr. Pandy, a lot of people are losing health insurance in your district right now because of the COVID pandemic. And many people did not have health insurance before, because we have one of the highest rates of uninsurance in the nation. And I would like to hear your remedy for right now in the pandemic, people losing health care and more broadly.
Well, the one thing that we can do right now with the stroke of a pen, Governor Kemp can offer Medicaid expansion to almost 450,000 people right here in Georgia. So that is one thing that we can do right now to ensure that 450,000 people have health care more than we have now.
All right, Tia, it is now your turn to ask Devin a question.
Good morning, Devin. We're going to stick to the pandemic. Let's talk about the economic recovery. I want to ask you, do you think that families should get another round of checks directly to them in the mail? Why or why not, and how much?
Well, yes, I do believe that families should get another round of checks. How much? I have no idea. I don't think anyone has an idea of how much will help each family. One family may only need $400 to stay afloat. They may have, it may be a wife and a couple. Another family may have 4 children and need $2,000 to stay afloat. But what we can do is to ensure that everyone, I believe that what should happen is we should look into stopping all payments, stopping payments by renters to their landlords, stop payments from the landlords to their banks, stop payments from the banks to their creditors. And that way, we have a way to keep everyone afloat and not leave anyone behind.
And Lee, you get the final question in this round for Brooke.
Ms. Siskin, we saw media reports that you had been jailed for contempt of court briefly for failing to surrender your guns. Would you care to explain what that was all about?
Okay, so this is a personal issue that happened between me and my ex-husband. Now, I'm not saying that I am the most perfect person. It's kind of like our former, or the late John Lewis, Good Trouble. I was not responsible. I had protected myself with a gun because of a domestic violence situation. So I was protecting myself, and I was asked to turn in my gun because I was in fear of my life. So I'm not happy about it, but this is why I'm running, to protect women and their issues when it comes to domestic violence, and to help others that need a voice. I want to be an advocate and a voice for women who don't have a choice.
All right, that concludes the first portion of the debate. The candidates will now take turns asking each other 2 questions. Candidates will have 30 seconds to ask the question, 60 seconds to respond, and then 30 seconds for a rebuttal. By random selection, Devin, you may ask the first question to Brooke.
Thank you. The 9th Congressional District is deep red Trump country. A few years ago, we had only a handful of Democratic candidates in this district. This cycle, we've had more than 30. My question is this: how does your candidacy, Brooke, plan to help the other Democrats up and down the ballot running for office in Northeast Georgia?
Okay, that's a good question. I believe that I can cross over with many voters. I believe that I can get, because of my personal issues and because of the socioeconomic standards that I've been living, I believe I can connect with most of the voters in the district. And I am, definitely thinking that I am par for being in this position because I think I can bring everyone together.
Okay. Any rebuttals?
Yes, I would just like to say that didn't really answer the question. If it was a get out the vote question, then yes, that would work. But that didn't really answer the question. I meant like okay, so my campaign is working with the Hall County Democrats to verify all of the Democratic cell numbers on Vote Builder. I am working with the Jackson County down ballot candidates to make sure that we have a unified front in Jackson County. And I have proposed a joint fundraising mechanism so that the ideas of, okay.
Okay. All right. Brooke, it is your turn to ask a question to Devin.
Okay, Devin, you say that you have a policy, an economic policy that you want to put forth. What is your plans to bring us out of this economic problems that we're having?
Okay, I would be interested to know what economic policy that you say I've put forth is. But with that being said, so first of all, re-looking at the tariffs on China. The tariffs are still hurting our farmers. I was just at a forum the other day, and they were telling me about how they're still being hurt by those tariffs now. We have to realize that tariffs do not hurt the country that the tariff is on as much as it hurts our own people. It is taxes on the American people. We need to keep that in mind when we set these tariffs.
Brooke, would you like to rebut?
I'm just regarding the tariffs. I'm not exactly sure. He said he wants to add more tariffs, or I'm not sure exactly what he was saying regarding that. Can you clarify that, Devin?
Yes, if I'm allowed to.
Yes.
All right, great. Yes, I'm not saying that we should add more tariffs. I'm not saying that we should remove the tariffs. What I'm saying is that we should take a real economic look at the tariffs. Those tariffs, in my opinion, were put in place out of thinking that it would make someone look strong, the person that administered it. And that is the wrong reason to put tariffs on other countries to hurt the American people.
All right, Brooke, you may ask your second question to Devin.
Okay, Devin, since you are a veteran, I wanted to know what plan you had to help veterans out in the 9th District.
That is an excellent question. So in the Army, we are taught to not work at our current level, but to work at the level that we aspire to achieve. And that's exactly what I have done. So I have already put together a framework for the Home for the Brave Act. And what that does is that establishes the Moral Act of 2021 to give our homeless veterans the education, training, and career placement that they need and housing that they need in order to become self-sufficient. That framework is actually on a congressional staffer's desk at this time.
Brooke, would you like to respond? Rebut?
No.
Okay. All right, Devin, you may ask your second question to Brooke.
Okay, first I'd just like to let you all know my headset just told me it was low, so we may get cut off. So anyway, in an article published this week by Jeff Gale at the Gainesville Times, you were asked about how we should respond to the pandemic. And you said, quote, "I feel as if there should be a task force of medical individuals that can give more information out on the virus and the importance of wearing a mask and the latest on testing and all that," end quote. My question is, are you aware that almost every level of government, including this county that you live in, have task forces and medical professionals that inform our COVID-19 response? And if so, what should they be doing differently?
Okay. So I believe that there may be a task force of some sort, but it's not good enough because people aren't adhering to the mask mandates and taking care of themselves so that they can't spread the virus. So I'm wanting more information. Even though we have Anthony Fauci as our guru on it, we need to have other medical professionals expand upon it and be able to give updates so that we will give the severeness of this epidemic. And we need to have more people out there talking more about it. So what I meant is that we need more medical professionals out there talking about this virus and what we can do to stop it.
Devin, rebuttal?
Yes, I would just like to say that Mr. Fauci, Dr. Fauci himself is a part of a pandemic task force. Also, I take offense at saying that our task forces are not doing enough. That is false. They are working very, very hard to keep us safe. Where the problem lies is with our representatives who are not adhering to those standards and telling everyone else that they should as well.
All right, that concludes our second round. For those just joining us, this is the runoff debate between the Democratic candidates for Congressional District 9. We will now go back to the panelists to ask questions until we run out of time. As moderator, I may also ask a question. I will determine when a rebuttal is appropriate. Candidates may raise their hand if they feel that they should get a rebuttal. Lee Shearer, you get the first question in this round.
Who is this question to? Sorry.
You may choose who you'd like this question to go to.
All right, I'm going to ask Tia. I'm going to ask Ms. Siskin. You have talked about expanding healthcare. How would you do that? This is more broadly outside the context of the pandemic. How would you do that, and how would you do that without costing us a lot more money and adding to the federal deficit?
Okay, so I am definitely for universal health care. I don't believe that anyone should be that health care is not a privilege, it's a right to have, and that we must all have access to it. I think that we do have programs right now that can offer help to people who don't have access to health care, but we need to expand upon that. And so I believe that we need to have everyone have affordable access to health care. And if we have to have programs that government programs that have to just to help our citizens, then we need that.
All right, Tia, it's your turn to ask a question of one of the candidates.
Okay, I'll go to Devin. Devin, can you, actually, I want both of you guys to answer this.
Mm-hmm.
You're in a runoff and you're both Democrats, and what would you tell voters is the difference between you and your opponent? And then Brooke, I would like you to, the difference policy-wise in approach to the job.
Okay, thank you for that question. That's a really good question. So the difference is that I have experience. It may not be political experience, but I have experience. My deployments have led me to a place where I have actually liaisoned with foreign governments. I have leadership experience of over 20 years, leading troops on the battlefield and also supervising in a corporate structure. So my experience definitely, and then not only that, but my ability to actually beat a Republican. I think that's something that we really need to look at, is who in this race actually has a chance against a Republican on the other side. That is me.
Okay. So I believe that I have experience when it comes to real world experience dealing with it as a single mom, as a person of domestic violence, as a person that can deal with the groups of people that are out there needing a voice in Washington. I believe that I can definitely understand and sympathize with the people that need opportunities, and I want to help them. I want to help them write a bill so that they can get what they need. So I believe that I have the most experience when it comes to real world experience.
And Lee, you may ask a question.
I'm going back to Mr. Pandy, and again, this is about health care. You have also advocated wider coverage of health care. Would you expand on that? And again, how do we do that without adding to what's already the most expensive health care in the world?
Well, first, I would like to say that I'm not a politician. 2, I am not an economist. And 3, I am not a scientist. So I don't always have these answers, but there are really smart people out there that do have the answers. And one of those people who has a plan for everything is Elizabeth Warren. And her plan of taxing the top 1% of the wealthiest people in this country is a great plan. So I definitely agree with that and would consider adopting that myself.
I'd like to hear Brooke also respond to that.
Regarding the healthcare, I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Yes, respond to Lee's question as well.
Well, I believe I did before, but I believe that we need to have affordable access to healthcare. And the plan is that we need to have, when we talk about affordable, the ACA may not be the right answer. So we need to have affordable access to people so that they can afford getting healthcare. You know, prescription drug costs are expensive. So we need to work on looking at lowering the cost of that. And like I said before, everyone needs access to it. People with disabilities, and everyone needs access to it.
Devin, you may respond.
I would just like to say very quickly that saying that ACA may not be the answer is feeding right into the Republican narrative. It may not be the best in the world, but it is what we have. And if the GOP wants to repeal that, okay, give us a better solution. Don't repeal it and not have anything to replace it with. That is going to be costly and deadly.
Tia, you may ask a question.
Brooke, I don't want to dwell on this, but I do want to clarify the answer you gave earlier about, being arrested and charged with contempt. You said it was about domestic violence. Are you saying that you disputed or decided to reject the judge's order? Because there was a judge who ordered you to turn in your guns because they felt that you should not have possession of them. So can you just give me I just want to make sure I understand why you wanted to or decided to not comply with that judge's order.
Okay, I did comply with the order. I only had one gun. Was ordered to turn in that gun because of a false narrative of my ex-husband claiming that I had another gun, and I did not have that. And on top of it, I never owned but one gun. I did not want to get another gun. I did not want to protect myself, but I felt like I did. Every day, women live in fear of their ex-husbands or husbands coming after them, and they have no protection. When they call the police, they have no protection. It doesn't until something happens. So I'm trying to be a voice for women, and I've lived this situation. So I am not proud of it, but I want to protect myself, and that's what I was doing. And I have a right as a Second Amendment rights person in this country to own a gun to protect myself. So that's what I was doing.
All right. Lee, you may ask another question.
This is a question for both candidates. Recently, the state of Georgia released a map of where people have broadband internet access and where they don't. And your district did not look particularly good, and particularly the rural areas. What would you do, and what should we do to change that?
You're asking myself? I'm sorry.
Both of you. You can go first.
What should we do to change that we have no broadband?
We don't have broadband internet access, which is much more important now than it was just a year ago. So some implications for telemedicine, school, and economic development. What would you do to bring that access to your district?
I will answer that question. I believe we definitely 100% need broadband access. Our school children are going to have to go to school, possibly and online. They need access to internet. It needs to be a free internet system. We need to have more technology in the 9th district. It's not available. It's very sad that people are having to go to a library or some sort of access. We need to have affordable access to internet solutions so that people have access to doing their schoolwork, their work, and everything else. So I believe we need that 100%.
Devin, you may respond to the question.
This is a national issue. Rural Americans everywhere are struggling with internet. So what needs to happen is the same thing that happened with FDR with the Rural Electrification Act. We need a Rural Broadband Act. We need to take broadband into every corner of every rural place in this country. Not only that, broadband needs to be offered as a utility, right along with your water, your electric, your gas. It needs to be a utility, and it needs to be available to everyone. Now, should it be free? Probably not. That is a service that someone is going to have to pay for. And if you're using it, you should pay for it. But it should be affordable and it should be available.
All right, that is all the time we have for questions. Each candidate will now have 60 seconds for a closing statement. Brooke, you get the first closing statement.
Thank you. I'm running for Congress because I truly want to be an advocate for change in my district. I want to be a voice for women and men who don't have one, innocent victims like myself who fear and who triumph through adversity. I want to be a voice for people with disabilities who have need a helping hand when it comes to affordable access to health care. And I want families to have a voice that help create legislation to make their lives better. I will make it my personal mission to work towards justice for all. Please consider my vote on August 11th, and thank you.
All right, Devin, Pandy, you get the final closing statement.
Thank you very much. I am running first and foremost to champion real progress for rural Georgia and to restore honor and integrity to Congress. When I joined the Army, I swore a sacred oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. I believe that America is tired of seeing our representatives dishonor that oath, And Americans are tired of seeing people seek office with little to no qualifications who seek to only benefit themselves or their donors. We're losing American heroes like Reverend C.T. Vivian and Congressman John Lewis, and we're left with the likes of Doug Collins and Donald Trump. We have to change that, and the time is now. I have never run for office before, but my qualifications include 20 years of proven leadership. They include seeking the advice of experts, and more importantly, having the humility to heed that advice. And they include working with people of different faiths, backgrounds, and ideologies to accomplish a common goal. And I do the work. My name is Devin Pandy, and I'm asking you to support me in August on the 11th in the primary runoff. Thank you, and God bless you.
All right, Tia and Leah, I'd like to ask each of you, with the remaining moments that we have, if either of you have a final closing comment, thought, question as we get ready to close. Tia?
Okay, well, from afar, watching this race, and I think Devin kind of brought this up, everyone believes that this is a race that a Republican is likely to win. It's very hard for Democrats to win in the 9th district. So I do think the voters at home watching this debate, that is something that is likely and should be on their mind, is finding or choosing between these two Democrats who they think has the best chance of trying to win against the Republicans.
All right, thank you, Tia. That concludes our debate, and we thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.